Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the invite. This is a really great conference, and I'd like to thank the team, Grania, Louise, who invited me. This is the third time I've been up here. I feel like I'm becoming a bit of a turn. I work on the 100% Digital Leeds project, which is a Leeds City Council-led movement, and it's managed by Leeds Libraries, aimed at accelerating and maximising digital inclusion in the city of Leeds. I'm going to try and give you a bit of a whistle-stop tour on why we're doing digital inclusion in Leeds and why it's so important, how we're doing it, and what progress we're making against our objective of giving everyone the opportunity to gain the access they need, to gain the skills they need, and to understand the motivations behind going online and doing something, and prospering in what is really an increasingly digital world. So first up, can I just have a bit of a show of hands? Who here has been to Leeds before? Someone over there on that table, just like their mouth just dropped open as they did that. Any reason? Just that easy. Who's been to Leeds Central Library before? If you haven't, that's not as many people. If you haven't been, next time you are in Leeds, please do go, because it is a fantastic building and lots of fantastic things happen there. Leeds is the third biggest city in the country by population. It's vibrant, it's thriving. We have this ambition in Leeds to be the best city in the UK. And we also want to be a compassionate city that has a strong economy where the skills and well-being of our communities develop inclusively with economic growth. We want to be a city that tackles poverty and that reduces inequalities. And though people are enjoying some of the economic growth that's happening in parts of the city, and they're enjoying the access to the better jobs market, the increased social mobility, better health outcomes, life expectancy, we still have an awful lot of people who struggle with poverty and its effects. It's roughly 1 in 5. And this is something that, just to reference something that my colleague was speaking about yesterday, this is what's driven our community hub model, where we have services all in one building, co-located, reaching the people who maybe wouldn't go into a library. And I guess this is what this project is about. It's about bringing those people in. Just like Leeds has this ambition to be the best city in the UK, we as a library service want to be the best library service in the country. We deliver a wide range of leisure, cultural, learning and information services through a network of 34 actual physical buildings, 8 mobile libraries. We have a strong digital presence and community outreach programme, and we have support for people's well-being at the heart of what we do. And we've also had £17 million of capital investment for our community hub development programme, which Libraries is a key partner in. It brings lots of services together under one roof, gives them added benefits. And another little bit of context before I start all this is that fittingly we're in Edinburgh, which I don't know if you know is a smart city. It's part of the Smart Cities network, as is Leeds. What we mean by that, if anyone's not familiar, is we utilise data and digital to efficiently manage our assets and resources, specifically in Leeds around health, housing, transport and the environment. We all know that it's harder than ever before to deliver vital public services. And what Smart Leeds essentially does is look at how we deliver smartly and efficiently. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes that involves using data and digital as part of the solution. But smart cities require smart citizens. We can't claim to be an inclusive city if not everyone can engage with the solutions we come up with. And if 1 in 5 are struggling with poverty and also digitally excluded, it means we're missing out a huge chunk of people. And those are the numbers that we face in Leeds. So I should say now it's got three quarters of a million people living there. And these are just adults that we're talking about here. But it is a problem because with more and more services moving to digital platforms to save money, the digital literacy that's required to properly engage with them isn't keeping pace. And that's where libraries can play a key role. Those without digital skills are likely to be the most vulnerable and excluded, and they would have the most to gain from being online. When you look at our map of Leeds and the areas I work in, and my team works in, and libraries really concentrate their efforts into, the areas that we would say in my team are areas of pronounced digital exclusion. It's no surprise that they also contain some of the most deprived parts of the city, and in some cases the country as well. We know that digital inclusion can help with this. We know it can tackle poverty, reduce inequality. Just through some simple numbers. I mean, last year, the average household from being online saved £744. Just shopping around for things, checking the prices on things, not having to make journeys that they didn't need to because they could just look online. Over 2/3 of jobs require some level of digital skills, even if it's a really low one. There are multiple studies on the improved health outcomes and reduced social isolation that come from being online. And for us as a local authority, those are all really, really important things. So is this in a different way? For us as a local authority, when we have to make savings, someone come in and into a community hub or a library and asking a question about whatever that might be that affects them, that costs us about £14 per transaction. It costs all of you £14 per transaction as well. Doing it online costs 17p. It's a huge difference. And it's not a case of just saving money. This frees up resources that we need to focus on the most vulnerable in our society who really need it. And as I said, it's where libraries can really make a difference. But you've seen those numbers, and it was recognised early on that we're not just going to do this on our own, and that's why collaboration is really important. I heard a few people talk about collaboration yesterday, and I'm glad that other people are doing it. To make a dent in these numbers, we had to build a movement, and something that's probably quite non-traditional and far-reaching, and ultimately we want it to be sustainable. It's all a big thing in our kind of vision for the future. It's in our compassionate city with a strong economy plan, underpins our plan to be the best city in the UK and the best library service. And it's mentioned throughout our inclusive growth strategy. This is digital inclusion in Leeds is big, and we've pledged our support to it. And compared to other cities that I meet, people from other cities rather that I meet, it's usually one person on their own doing all this work and trying to make things happen. We're really lucky in Leeds in that it was recognised as a priority early on, and people have invested in it, more of which I'll tell you later. People have invested in it. We have a permanent team, and the reason we were round the table as a library service from the beginning was because we have the knowledge, skills and experience, and we all do. As library services, we all do digital inclusion in the community. We have the knowledge, skills and experience. We have the infrastructure, you know, public access PCs. That's 700 now, not 500. We've increased the amount of those. We have those community links. We know what we're doing. We have trained staff delivering sessions, helping people get that training. And I'm sure we're not alone in that. I'm sure other people do here in this room as well. And it's really about shouting about it, I guess. And that's why we ended up round the table when this was decided upon as an issue. We all know what it's like that in libraries often you are fighting to be around the table and fighting to be involved in big things that are going on in your city. And as I say, we are really lucky in Leeds that we have people who listen to us and listen to and come see the work that libraries do. For those of you who don't know, every time anyone talks about digital exclusion, there are 3 barriers that come up time and time again. It's a lack of sustained access to the internet, and that's usually down to cost. In perhaps more rural places, it can be down to where you are environmentally. It's the lack of motivation, which is the big one. That affects about 72% of people who are not online. They're the people who say, it's not for me. They're the people who kind of book the Tim Berners-Lee quote of the internet being for everyone. The people who say, I've done all right without it so far. And we would never ever, we are called 100% Digital Leeds, we would never ever to force anyone to be online, but we want everyone to have the opportunity to make an informed choice about it, and give it a go. If they still don't like it, we're not going to force them. They don't understand the benefits often. When you speak to someone like that, when I do, they often are quite surprised that, oh, you can do that online. And a lack of skills, which we always are there to help remedy as well as the access point. We do offer free access to PCs in libraries, and we do offer digital skills training. Our approach, though, is just this simple. We want people to have the access and skills they need. Technology is something where I don't know how to build a website. I'm sure there are plenty of people in this room who do. I'm sure I could learn. I don't need it at the minute. But if I did, I would like to think there was someone in Leeds that I could get help from for free. You don't need to be a whiz, basically. We don't want computer experts. We want people who have improved life outcomes from doing something online. And I talked to you earlier, yesterday, about just really simple things, like the lady who I meet at the bus stop who says, "You've timed it well." And I go, and she said, "I've been waiting here for half an hour." And I was like, "Yeah, it was cancelled." "How do you know? You weren't here." I was like, "Yeah, I could see." And that really is something really trivial, but if you kind of have your end of the world doom and gloom hat on, then that lady is quite elderly, and she's quite frail, and if she's waiting outside in the cold for half an hour, how much is that going to cost various public services to look after her, or to help her get back on track? If she goes into hospital with pneumonia, pulls through, then social care are looking after her, that's going to cost the taxpayer more, it's going to cost the council more. And it's about that preventative approach, and I'm going to tell you a story a little bit later about someone, I think, where that's perhaps more amplified. But we kind of work across the city. We basically go where the people are. We can't, those numbers that you saw, 90,000 adults not online or not knowing what to do online, we want everyone to kind of get on board with it. We have to go where the people are, the people who don't traditionally use libraries, the people who are perhaps a bit frightened of the council. They've had a letter from them in the past that they didn't like. We need to kind of get them to realise that the internet's for them. We're not scary. Come into your library. We'll come out to you. And hopefully people will have those improved life outcomes that I talked about. I'm going to talk a little bit about the barriers that people face. So as I said, it's three that come up time and time again. A lack of sustained access. We have I am sorry about this, the award-winning Leeds tablet lending scheme. Thank you. And commiserations. We offer a tablet lending scheme, the biggest of its kind. That says 300. The other one said 500 PCs. It should have been 700. 300 iPads. It's now 400 iPads due to more investment. And we work with the people who need it most. The people who have the most to gain from being online but are not. The people who are vulnerable, the people who are excluded. We also have increased our network of public access PCs. We've got business rates funding to connect 20 community centres in areas of the city. And I've gone around knocking on multi-storey flats, telling tenants in Leeds about, do you know you've got broadband now? We've done it with 7 tower blocks. And it's strange because I think about maybe, I'd say 15 months ago, I went to a place just outside of Leeds. It's walking distance, about 10 minutes away from where we work, in the centre. And I knocked on doors to tell them they'd got free Wi-Fi, and now they said, yeah, we've got free Wi-Fi, but no one knows what to do with it. A few of us do. So we want them to borrow some tablets and actually find out what you can do online, and then we want to get them into the library. We want to do it that way and signpost people in. We offer help there every Tuesday for people to go in and find out what you can do on the internet. This is the big one, motivation. And if I go into an organisation and I speak to maybe, let's say, a homeless person, a refugee, someone with learning disabilities, they don't know me. It will take me years to build, well, maybe months at least, to build up that kind of reputation, that trust with them. But there are people there in their life. We always talk in libraries and the council about people being hard to reach. And they're hard to reach for us, but not for everyone. There are people out there who have regular contact with these people, and these people trust them. It's more about, if we need a quick win, let's go through those people. We train them up to be digital champions. We train them up to be trusted faces in local places, where they can spread awareness about why you should be online, and increase awareness of the benefits and how much money you can save, how much time you can save. We've also, our award-winning Community Hubs programme. We have buildings co-located in services, which means, and we are going to, I will talk about this in a couple of minutes, we are going to train the staff there. We've trained some of them before. We will train them again to actually have that positive conversation, because that's what being a digital champion is about. It's about helping people to see the benefits, the people you see, and they go, it's not for me, and you go, all right, and then don't do anything about it. And the skills. We have 20 Get Online sessions that happen during the week in libraries all around the city. We also make sure that organisations in the community have those skills which they can teach to people. There's a story I'll tell you in about a minute and a half about somewhere in Armley, which is an inner city area of Leeds, where we get people like Lloyds Banking. We get people to come and actually share some of those skills and share what makes what makes them great with other people. We do support organisations. We hold events to. We had one on Tuesday, 70 plus people, just finding out how you support people, older people, with digital and doing things online. This much money's coming, everyone keeps saying, how have you done it? Well, in this room at least. I don't think anyone really asks me that anywhere else, but we're always kind of talking about money and how little we have, and we're really lucky in Leeds that we have had £17 million investment into a community hub programme, and we've had close to £1 million included in this as well. And the brilliant thing is, it's not come from us. This is a really good approach. If you see, I'm a member of library staff. I'm a librarian, but I'm paid for by Housing Leeds. They pay my salary. They see the benefit of what we're doing, and rather than try and reinvent the wheel, they think, we'll put libraries in there. They know what they're doing. I think it's really, really good recognition for the work that Leeds does, but I'm sure you all do as well. It's been looked at. We've had even more investment after this, particularly around the health angle. We've really kind of, breaking down silos. The council has shared outcomes, but we always work in little pockets. This is a way of saying, actually, we have one issue, we want the experts in, it's libraries. And this is these numbers. So again, bear in mind, it's 750,000 people in the city. Don't get too excited, but we've made a lot of progress. And I guess more than this, I want to tell you about these are all great in the numbers, and we do return on investment evidence. We know that we have saved the council in the last 6 months, and for the projected next 6 months, I know that we've saved them on public services roughly about £781,000, because I do the calculations for it. I know that, but I'm more interested in real people. So St George's Crypt, they are a charity that started in the 1930s in Leeds. They're about 5 minutes from the Central Library, but they work all over the city, providing services to support the homeless and the vulnerable. And digital's not really something they've ever done. It's not something they've had access to. But they borrowed some tablets from us. I think they were the first partners in our tablet lending scheme. They were able to teach people new skills. They have a woodwork class that restores furniture, then sells it. They train people up to MVQ level on, again, they've got volunteers come into the cafe, they help. MVQ level on food hygiene, food safety, food prep, customer service. Help them get back into the workplace, some kind of like even keel, find accommodation, all those things. They're a real life raft for people. But if they didn't have digital, they wouldn't have been able to deal with things like this. And I am conscious I'm running slightly over now, but I'm nearly done. If this person hadn't been helped as soon as his benefits were unfairly sanctioned, then his problems might have escalated very quickly. And potentially he wasn't on the streets anymore, but potentially he would have been back there at square one, in debt, at risk of homelessness, with all the associated risks to his physical and mental health that entails. And it's that thing I was saying about, you know, in a really plain way, when you look at it, how do you kind of keep people going? How much is it going to cost, and how do you intervene to make sure things happen for the right reasons? We work with an inner city organisation called Armley Helping Hands. They've got a project called Don't Call Me Old. I'm sure you'll be familiar with them from your cities, similar things like this. I would say that both of these have borrowed tablets from us, seen the benefits of digital inclusion, and then applied for funding and managed to buy their own from places. It helps people feel less isolated. These are people who don't have much contact really with their neighbours. Everything's changed for them. They don't see the family as often. They don't feel like they're ready to learn any new skills, and they never will be. And they do learn new skills because this is a tweet that they sent us after about 2 months of someone who had been made redundant 2 years previous. It was the outcome that we got from his participation. For next year, the funding is, at the moment, it's aimed to end March 2021. They will obviously keep seeking investment into this, but we need to make sure it is sustainable. And we'll be working much more closely. We've been going out there and spreading the word, building a movement. We'll be working much more closely with actual physical library buildings and bringing people in. You know, now we've done the hard work and sort of said, we're not that scary. We don't say shh or anything. We will be training the staff as digital champions and really casting the library as a digital hub in the heart of the community. And we'll also be kind of, I know a few people have said things like this, and I'm quite pleased, like when I see Code Craft Create up there, because I was the one who developed that with my colleague, and I'd forgotten about it completely. But that's what our new creative digital offer is going to be, and we'll kind of. It will be digital inclusion, not just for adults and not just doing the basic stuff, but it'll actually be helping people use their imaginations. And I think what I really want to, there's also 2 maker spaces on there as well, but creator spaces we've called them, in Crossgates and in Compton Road Library, areas where they could do with things like that. The one thing I want to leave you with is people always come up to me at things like this and say, it's fantastic what you're doing. How did you get to that point? And the thing is, we all do it in this room. We all do digital inclusion. In all our authorities, in some way, in all our services, we all do digital inclusion. We all help people. It's about not being shy about it. And really, I think this whole project and the fact that all this investment came into us started from a previous colleague's elevator pitch, essentially, literally stuck in a lift with someone and saying, we can help you with that, we do that all the time. And someone listening and going, all right. Because despite all the noise we make about it, people need to know what we do. It's important. And it's, as you heard from the previous speaker, Gillian, it is the future. We need to help people adjust to it. We still have a very vital place to play, because it can make you feel a bit anchorless, technology. We as a library service can help people not feel like that, but also help people engage with that as well. Thank you.